Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Butler, and I'll be giving you a brief snapshot on globalization and workforce development. At the end of this presentation, hopefully you will learn something about globalization and workforce development. Let's get started. This is the overview or the agenda of the topics we will be discussing today. First, we'll let you know what is workforce development, give you a meaning, a true meaning, or how I see workforce development. We'll talk about globalization, how I view globalization. We'll discuss some of my experiences and observations and what I've seen on how globalization affects workforce development in today's world. And we'll wrap it up with a conclusion at the end of this presentation. What is workforce development? It's assisting employees with improving the workforce skills and knowledge to function well within the organization. This will help the employer and the employee. It's a collective effort. The employee will gain skills out of workforce development, and the employee will gain some as well by retaining talent and some of the things we'll discuss later on. Globalization is nothing more than a process by which organizations develop international influence to start operating on an international scale. Talk about working, hiring labor, how it will affect the economy if the organization go out and outsource labor. Losing jobs to global labor. Employment in other markets help their economy, but it hurts the U.S. economy. This has been going on for a while. Inexpensive labor is typically the way larger organizations go for. Hiring American workers could be costly, and it will be costly because you have to pay for benefits, pay wages, and several other factors that factor into this scenario. But mostly larger organizations outsource the labor so they can get cheaper labor. Fear of being unemployed. I think this is the most important part of hiring global. Even though it's done, I still think it's the most important part. Although there are some advantages, the bad may outweigh the good for the American workforce, and it will outweigh the good for the American workforce. Not paying employee benefits could be the deciding factor. A simple look at workforce development and how we train and retain talent. This is the workforce development model that I use and how I would tie it into the conceptual model. It's an easy approach and it's a simple approach. Most organizations use this method to train and retain talent. You start with the recruiting process, then you go through the selection process, and that selection process, which is onboarding and orientation, that's a very important part. You want to get employees a good view of the organization. Then we'll train and develop, go through the evaluation process, and after all that's done, we'll go over retention. At the conclusion, we discuss workforce development, globalization, and how it is utilized. We talked a little bit about my experiences and what can happen if you outsource labor. It can be good, it can be bad, but I still think the bad outweigh the good in this situation because the U.S. worker probably won't have a job. And thank you for listening to this presentation today. Do we have any questions?